My name is Varela Torres, and I'm 31 years old. I work as a senior UX designer at a software company in Orlando, Florida. On the outside, it might look like I have a comfortable life, good job, stable income, my own place. But what people don't see is the storm that brought me here. This is a story about my family. My father, Torin, who's 58, my mother, Sabine, who's 56, and my younger sister, Melis, who just turned 27. It's a story about sacrifice, betrayal, and the moment I finally said, enough. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. Because what started as a family dinner argument turned into a $45,000 disaster that changed everything. It was a Friday evening in February, and I was driving home from work, completely exhausted. We'd just finished a major project deadline, and all I wanted was a quiet weekend. But as soon as I walked through the front door of my parents' house in Orlando, I knew that wasn't going to happen. My mother was sitting on the couch, flipping through TV channels with a bored expression. My sister was sprawled across the armchair, scrolling through Instagram on her phone, probably looking at influencers living lives she thought she deserved. "Oh, Viraya's home," my mother said, barely looking up. "Perfect timing. You mentioned wanting ribeye steaks for dinner tomorrow, right?" I set my bag down and opened the refrigerator, already knowing what I'd find. Nearly empty, as usual. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "Mom, the grocery money for this month is gone. It's only the 20th. My mother frowned. "Gone? Already? But you gave me $2,500. "I gave you exactly $2,500 on the first of the month. That should be enough for 4 people. "Well, it's not," she said, her tone defensive. "Prices have gone up. Prices have gone. 2,500 isn't enough anymore. You need to give us more." I felt my jaw tighten. This conversation happened every month like clockwork. No matter how much I gave, it was never enough. That's when my sister chimed in, not even looking up from her phone. "Big sis, you're not giving enough money for food anymore. I had to cut back on my shopping." I stared at her. "You're 27 years old, Melis. Why don't you get a job and help pay for groceries yourself?" "I do work," she said indignantly. "I do freelance social media for small businesses." "How much do you make?" She waved her hand dismissively. "It depends. 400 to 600 a month, maybe." $600 a month? And you're asking me to give more? My voice was rising now. Most people with part-time income like that would be contributing to the household, not asking for more. My mother immediately jumped to her defense. "Melis is looking for a full-time job. She's under a lot of stress, and she helps around the house, so she can't work more hours." That's when my father walked in from his room, putting his arm around my sister's shoulders like she was a fragile treasure. "That's right. My baby girl does so much around here." "Like what?" I asked, genuinely curious. "She washes the dishes after meals," he said proudly. "She does her own laundry. And every night, she gives me shoulder massages." I wanted to scream. Those were things a 10-year-old could do. Meanwhile, I woke up at 5:30 every morning to cook breakfast for the entire family and pack my father's lunch. I was the one managing the household finances, paying the bills, and filing everyone's taxes. But somehow, Melis washing her own dishes made her a household hero. "If money is so tight," I said carefully, "why don't we sell this house and move to Miami? Nana Rosa has that big Italian restaurant. We could all work there, have free meals." "No." My mother's response was immediate and sharp. "I am not going back to that town. Your grandmother will make me make pizza from dawn until dusk. I'm not doing it." My father nodded in agreement. "We need to be self-sufficient, Viraya. We can't rely on family handouts." The irony was so thick I could taste it. We can't rely on family handouts. while I had been keeping them afloat for the past year and a half. What they didn't know, what I'd never told them, was exactly how much I'd sacrificed. 2.5 years ago, my father called me in a panic. His company owed $62,000 in back taxes, and the IRS was about to seize the house. He was desperate, crying on the phone, begging for help. I was 29 at the time, working as a UX designer in Tampa, and I'd been saving diligently for 7 years. I had $78,000 in my savings account. I could have said no. I could have let him face the consequences of his poor business decisions. But he was my father, and the thought of my parents losing their home was unbearable. So I made him a deal. I would pay the $62,000 in back taxes, plus $5,000 for the attorney fees to handle the paperwork, but only if he transferred the house into my name. A quitclaim deed, completely legal and binding. Why? He'd asked, confused. To protect the asset, I'd explained. If your company goes bankrupt, they can't take the house if it's not in your name. He'd hesitated, but he was desperate. He agreed. I paid $67,000 total, leaving me with only $11,000 in savings. The agreement was simple. My parents could live there rent-free, but the house belonged to me. 6 months later, his company went bankrupt anyway. Everything I'd feared came true. And that's when he called me again, asking me to move back home to help them get back on their feet. Just temporarily, he'd said. Just until we figure things out. That was 18 months ago. 18 months of giving them $4,200 every month. $2,500 for groceries, $1,200 for utilities, and $500 for miscellaneous expenses. 18 months of watching my savings account stay at zero because every penny I earned went to keeping them afloat. Let me do the math for you. $4,200 a month for 18 months equals $75,600. Add the $67,000 I'd paid in taxes and attorney fees. Then there was the $8,000 for emergency roof repairs when a storm damaged the house last summer, and another $4,500 for various emergencies, $2,200 when my father's car transmission died, $1,400 for my mother's arthritis medications, and $900 for a new phone for Malis when she accidentally dropped hers in the pool. In total, over the past 2.5 years, I had given my family $155,100. To afford that, I hadn't taken a vacation in 18 months. I wore the same clothes I'd bought 3 years ago. I never went out to restaurants except for work lunches. I couldn't even afford to date because I had no money and no free time. My entire life had become work, home, family, repeat. And with my salary, $95,000 a year, which came out to about $6,200 a month after taxes, giving them $4,200 meant I only had $2,000 left for myself each month. Rent for even a studio apartment in Orlando started at $1,500. I literally couldn't afford to move out. But did they appreciate any of it? Did they see me as anything other than an ATM machine? Standing in that kitchen on that Friday night, listening to my mother complain about grocery money, and my father praise Malis for washing her own dishes, I felt something inside me crack. "I'm going to bed," I said quietly, and walked away. That night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I stared at the ceiling and wondered how much longer I could keep this up. The answer, as it turned out, was exactly 3 more days. Monday evening, I came home from work around 6 o'clock. The house was quieter than usual. My mother was watching her usual reality TV shows, and my father was in his room. But Malis wasn't home. "Where's Malis?" I asked my mother. She didn't look away from the TV. "Oh, she had some things to take care of. She'll be gone for a few days." "What things?" "Just personal business. I don't know all the details." Something about her tone felt off. but I was exhausted from a difficult day at work. We were in the middle of a major project with an impossible deadline, and I had a client presentation the next morning. I didn't have the energy to interrogate my mother about my sister's whereabouts. Tuesday came and went. Still no Melis. Wednesday, I asked my father, "Where did Melis go?" "Oh, she's visiting a friend," he said vaguely. By Thursday, I was starting to get suspicious. It wasn't unusual for Melis to go out with friends for a day or two, but this was different. She hadn't mentioned anything to me, which was odd since we shared a room when she was growing up, and despite everything, we usually kept each other informed about our plans. But I was drowning in work. Our client presentation was Friday morning, and I was putting in 12-hour days to get everything ready. I pushed my concerns about Melis to the back of my mind. Friday evening, I came home early, around 6 o'clock instead of my usual 9. I was planning to finally relax, maybe watch a movie, decompress from the week. As I approached the front door, I heard voices inside. My parents, talking in the living room. Something in their tone made me pause before entering. I know I shouldn't have eavesdropped, but something told me to listen. "I can't wait," my mother was saying, her voice excited. "The souvenirs from Hawaii. Melis is so lucky right now." My hand froze on the doorknob. "I know," my father replied. "Can you imagine? Relaxing on those beautiful Waikiki beaches, eating at those fancy restaurants every day." She said the resort has a breakfast buffet that's absolutely incredible, and she went shopping at Luxury Row, all those designer stores. Next time, we should all go to Hawaii together. A real family vacation. Yes! Once Melis finds a good job and starts making real money, we can all go. They both laughed, comfortable and content. I stood outside that door, my heart pounding. Hawaii? Resort? Designer shopping? I pushed the door open and walked in. Both of my parents jumped slightly, looking guilty. "Hawaii?" I said. "Melis is in Hawaii right now?" My mother's eyes went wide, but she recovered quickly. "Oh, yes, didn't we mention? She won a contest." "A contest?" I said slowly. My father nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, some Instagram contest. She won round-trip airfare and 5 nights at a hotel for free." "When did this happen?" "Last week," my mother said. "She was so excited she left right away." "So she's in Hawaii, staying at a resort, shopping, eating at restaurants." I let the words hang in the air. How is she paying for all that? The contest only covered the flight and hotel, right? There was the briefest hesitation before my mother answered. "She's been very frugal, saving money from her freelance work." My father added, "She's a very responsible girl. She wouldn't spend money she doesn't have." I looked at both of them carefully. Something was wrong. My mother wouldn't quite meet my eyes. My father's smile was too broad, too forced. "Right," I said slowly. "Well, that's great for her." I went to my room, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. Saturday morning, I was sitting in a Starbucks near my office, trying to catch up on some work emails. It was around 10 o'clock when my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Ms. Torres?" A professional woman's voice. "This is Sarah Chen from the security department at First National Bank." My stomach dropped. "Yes?" "We've detected some unusual activity on your gold credit card and wanted to verify some transactions with you." "Unusual activity? I barely use that card." "Yes, that's exactly why we're calling. The card typically shows very little activity, but over the past 7 days, we've recorded 23 transactions totaling $45,000. The world seemed to tilt. "I'm sorry, did you say 45,000? Several people in the Starbucks turned to look at me. I lowered my voice. "That's impossible. I haven't used that card." The transactions are primarily in Honolulu, Hawaii. I can read them to you if you'd like. Please, I whispered. She began listing them. Sunday, Ala Moana Shopping Center, $8,500 at Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Tommy Bahama Restaurant, $340. Waikiki Beach Spa, $450. Monday, Nobu Waikiki, $520. Dinner for one, it appears. Royal Hawaiian Spa, $680. Tiffany and Company, $3,200. Tuesday, Paradise Helicopter Tours, $2,800. Private Surf Lessons, $800. Duke's Waikiki, $280. Sephora, $1,400. Designer Swimwear Boutique, $2,100. Wednesday, Hermes, $6,200 for a handbag. Mariposa at Neiman Marcus, $380. Lululemon, $940. Room service and Uber rides, $470 total. Thursday, Catamaran Sunset Cruise, $1,200. La Mer at the Halekulani Hotel, $420. Christian Louboutin, $1,850. Whole Foods, $180. Friday, Tory Richard Boutique, $880. Roy's Waikiki, $360. Private Beach Cabana Rental, $650. Jewelry Store, $4,900. Saturday, Last Minute Shopping Spree, $5,200. Airport Duty Free, $1,250. I couldn't breathe. Each item felt like a knife to my chest. Ms. Torres, are you still there? Yes, I'm here. Were these your transactions? No! The word came out louder than I intended. No, I'm not in Hawaii. Someone stole my card. We'll freeze the card immediately. Would you like to file a police report? Let me check something first. It might be a family member. I understand. The card is now frozen as of this moment. You'll receive a new card in 7 to 10 business days. Is there anything else we can help you with? No, thank you. I sat there, staring at my phone, my hands shaking. Hawaii. $45,000. 7 days. Mayless. I opened my wallet with trembling fingers. My gold credit card, which I kept in the back slot, was gone. When was the last time I'd seen it? 2 weeks ago, maybe, when I'd paid for lunch. My chest felt tight. I could barely breathe. This couldn't be happening. I pulled up my sister's number and called. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. A 3rd time. Voicemail. I sent a text message. You're using my credit card, aren't you? Explain now. I sat there for 30 minutes, watching my phone, waiting. Finally, it rang. Hey, sis. Mayless's voice was cheerful, casual, like she didn't have a care in the world. I see you figured it out. Figured it out? I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet. You stole my credit card! Stole is such a harsh word, she said. We're sisters. Family. Family doesn't steal $45,000. There was a pause. Oh, you already know the amount? That was fast. Mayless, you spent $45,000 in 7 days. How is that even possible? Well, Hawaii is expensive, sis. The resort and flight were free from the contest, but everything else costs money. I had to eat, and I wanted to enjoy the activities. Oh, and I saw this really cute Hermes bag. I don't care about the bag. I was shaking now, my voice breaking. Do you have any idea how hard I work for that money? Do you know what $45,000 means to me? Oh, come on, she said, and I could practically hear her rolling her eyes. You make $95,000 a year. $45,000 is less than half your annual salary. You'll make it back. I felt like I'd been slapped. You think I'd just have that money lying around? You think it's that easy? I mean, you have a good job. You work in an office, you sit at a computer all day. It's not like you're doing manual labor or anything. You have no idea what you're talking about. Why are you so mad? I was going to buy you a nice souvenir. A souvenir? I wanted to throw my phone across the room. You think a souvenir makes up for stealing $45,000? Okay, I get it. You're upset. But I already spent the money, so there's nothing we can do about it now. I'll pay you back eventually, okay? No, I said coldly. Not okay. Not.
I've already frozen the card. What?
For the first time, her voice lost its casual tone. You can't do that. I'm still here for 2 more days. Figure it out yourself. Viraya, please. I don't have any other money. How am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to get back to the hotel? That's your problem. Don't call me again. I hung up. Immediately, my phone started ringing. Melis calling back. I declined it. She called again. Declined. Again. Declined. She left a voicemail. Against my better judgment, I listened to it. Viraya! Her voice was furious now. Turn the card back on. You're being a miser. Mom and Dad's cards are maxed out. I already tried them. You're so cheap, not even giving me spending money for this trip. How useless can you be? Some sister you are. I can't believe you're... I stopped the recording and saved it. Something told me I might need that evidence later. My phone rang again, but this time it was my mother. I took a deep breath and answered. Viraya! She shouted. How could you do this to your sister? She's in trouble in Hawaii. She's in trouble because she stole my credit card and spent $45,000. But she's family. You can't just abandon her in another state. I'm not abandoning her. I'm teaching her a lesson. My father grabbed the phone. Viraya, this is too much. Your sister made a mistake, but she was going to buy us souvenirs with that card. She was thinking of the whole family. Really? I said. You should listen to this. I played them the voicemail Melis had left, the one where she called me a miser, complained that their cards were maxed out and said I was useless. When it finished, there was silence on the other end of the line. Well, my mother said weakly. She was just upset. Check your credit cards, I said. Both of you, right now. I heard them moving around, presumably going to their room to find their wallets. A few minutes later, I heard screaming. She spent $5,000 on my card, my father shouted. And $3,500 on mine, my mother wailed. She even took my bank book. I feel so betrayed. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Now that it was their money, suddenly it was a betrayal. When it was just my $45,000, I was being selfish for not helping family. So, I said calmly, still think I should unfreeze my card so she can keep shopping? No, my mother said quickly. No, absolutely not. That girl, I can't believe... But our money is still safe, right? My father asked. She didn't drain our accounts? And there it was. They were only upset because their own money was touched. My $45,000 was still just acceptable collateral damage, I guess. I hung up without saying goodbye. I sat in that Starbucks for another hour, staring at nothing, my coffee growing cold. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I opened my banking app and looked at my savings account. The number staring back at me was exactly what I expected. $0.37. For the past 18 months, I had given every spare penny to my family. I had no emergency fund, no vacation fund, no future. Just nothing. And my sister had just spent in 1 week more than half of what I made in an entire year. Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet, cold snap, like ice cracking on a frozen lake. I pulled out my laptop and opened Google. I typed, "How to sell house fast, Orlando, Florida." The first result was a real estate agency. I clicked on it, then paused. I had a better idea. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Blake Morrison. We'd gone to the University of Florida together, studied in the same design program. After graduation, he'd gone into real estate instead of design. We'd stayed in touch over the years. I sent him a text. "Hey Blake, are you available tomorrow? I need to talk to you about something important." His response came within 5 minutes. "Sure, everything okay?" "Not really, but it will be." 9 a.m. at Panera Bread? Perfect. See you then. My next call was to Miami. My grandmother answered on the second ring. "Varaya, sweetheart, what a lovely surprise." "Hi, Nana Rosa," I said, and to my surprise, my voice cracked. "I need your help." "What's wrong, dear?" And I told her everything. When I told Nana Rosa everything, she listened without interrupting. My grandmother had always been the strong one in our family, the one who built a successful Italian restaurant from nothing, the one who never took nonsense from anyone. "Oh, sweetheart," she said when I finished. "I'm not surprised. Your mother has been spoiling Milas since she was a baby. I tried to tell Sabine, but she never listened to me. That's why she hates the idea of coming back here. She knows I won't put up with that behavior." "Can you take them in?" I asked. "All 3 of them? I know it's a lot to ask, but of course I can," she said immediately. The restaurant is short-staffed anyway. We lost 2 prep cooks last month. But Varaya, you need to understand. Working here is hard. Real work. 6 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, 6 days a week. Your mother won't last a week. "That's exactly what I'm counting on," I said quietly. There was a pause on the other end. Then my grandmother laughed, a deep, knowing laugh. "You're planning something, aren't you? I need them to understand what I've been sacrificing. I need them to learn the value of money, of work, of appreciation." "And how are you going to make them come to Miami?" "They won't agree willingly. They won't have a choice. The house is in my name, Nana." "What? Since when?" I explained about the tax payment, about the quit-claim deed, about how I'd protected their home even as they took everything else from me. My grandmother was quiet for a long moment. "So you could sell it at any time?" "Yes." "And you're going to kick them out?" "Yes." Another pause. "Varaya, are you sure about this? They're your family." "I've been sure for 18 months, Nana. I just didn't realize it until today." "All right then. I'll prepare 3 rooms and 3 positions. Sophia will train them. You remember Sophia, my head chef? She's tough as nails. If anyone can whip them into shape, it's her." "Thank you, Nana. I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'd do exactly what you're doing now, sweetheart. You're stronger than you think. You get that from me, not from your mother." After we hung up, I sat in the Starbucks until they closed at 10 p.m. I couldn't face going home. Instead, I drove to a Holiday Inn near my office and checked in for the night. In that quiet hotel room, I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet. I needed to see it all laid out, needed to understand exactly how much I'd given. The numbers stared back at me. 30 months ago, $67,000 for taxes and attorney fees. The past 18 months, $75,600 in monthly support. Emergency roof repair last summer, $8,000. Miscellaneous emergencies over time. My father's car transmission, $2,200. My mother's arthritis medications, $1,400. A replacement phone for my sister, $900. Total, $155,100. $155,100. And in return, my sister just spent $45,000 of my money in 7 days like it meant nothing. I closed the laptop and lay back on the unfamiliar hotel bed. Tomorrow, I would set everything in motion. Tomorrow, I would take back my life. But tonight, for the first time in 18 months, I cried. Sunday morning, I met Blake at Panera Bread at 9 a.m. sharp. He was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffees. "You look terrible," he said as I sat down. "Thanks, I feel worse." "So what's going on? Your text sounded urgent." I took a deep breath. "I need to sell a house. Fast." "Okay. Whose house?" "Mine. Well, it's the house my parents live in, but it's in my name." "Long story." Blake's expression shifted to professional mode. "How fast is fast?" 10 days. He nearly choked on his coffee. 10 days? Varela, that's almost impossible. Even with a motivated buyer, we'd need time for inspections, appraisals, closing paperwork. What if the buyer pays cash? No mortgage, no bank delays? He sat back, thinking. Cash would speed things up considerably, but finding a cash buyer willing to move that quickly, you'd probably have to drop your price significantly. "How much are we talking?" "Well, a 3-bedroom house in that neighborhood, in good condition, market value is probably around $485,000. But to close in 10 days? You might have to go as low as $450,000, maybe $460,000. "I'll take it, whatever it takes." Blake studied my face carefully. "What's really going on here?" "Like I said, long story. Can you help me or not?" "I can try, but wait." His expression changed. "Actually, this might work out. You remember 2 weeks ago when you asked me to come over for that insurance appraisal?" I blinked. 2 weeks ago, I'd needed the house appraised for homeowners insurance purposes, or at least that's what I'd told my parents. "Yes?" "I brought an investor client with me. I told your parents he was my assistant. He's been looking for property in that area for months. He absolutely loved your house. The location, the condition, everything. He told me if you ever wanted to sell, to call him first. He'd pay cash and close fast." My heart started beating faster. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. Let me call him right now." Blake pulled out his phone and walked outside to make the call. I sat there, gripping my coffee cup, watching through the window as he paced and talked, gesturing with his free hand. 5 minutes later, he came back in, grinning. He'll pay $455,000 cash and close in 6 days. 6 days? 6 days. He's done this before. He has a team that can move fast. He wants the property for a rental investment, so he doesn't need to move in right away. We can start paperwork tomorrow. I felt dizzy. "Okay, let's do it." "Varela, you're sure about this? Your parents?" "We'll be fine. They'll have a place to stay. Just not here." Blake looked like he wanted to ask more questions, but he knew me well enough to know when to stop pushing. "All right, I'll draw up the paperwork. Can you come by my office tomorrow at 9? "I'll be there." We shook hands and I walked back to my car. In 6 days, the house would be sold. In 6 days, my family would have nowhere to go but Miami. But I still had one more piece to put in place. That afternoon, I drove back to the house. My parents were out shopping. My father had texted me asking if they could borrow money for groceries since they'd run out again. I'd ignored the message. The house was empty. Perfect. I went straight to my sister's room. I'd been in here 1,000 times before, but today I was looking for something specific. Her closet was stuffed with clothes, many with tags still attached. Zara, H&M, Forever 21. Not designer brands, but expensive enough when you bought dozens of pieces. Her shoe collection covered an entire wall. At least 15 pairs, several never worn. I opened her dresser drawers. Makeup from Sephora and Ulta filled 2 entire drawers. Hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars worth. In the back of her underwear drawer, I found an envelope. Inside, $4,500 in cash. My hands started shaking. This was the grocery money, My mother had been skimming from the $2,500 I gave her each month, giving it to my sister as spending money. I did the quick math. If she'd been taking $700 a month for 18 months, that was $12,600. My sister had probably spent most of it, but she'd saved some. I put the envelope back. Let her keep it. She'd need every penny when the credit card bills came due. I kept searching. In the bottom drawer of her nightstand, buried under old magazines, I found it. A credit card I'd never seen before. I pulled it out carefully. A Visa signature card with my sister's name embossed on it. I turned it over. The activation sticker was still on it, undisturbed. My sister had gotten this card back when she briefly worked as a marketing coordinator, about 3 years ago. She'd quit after 8 months, but apparently she'd kept the card. Never activated it, never used it, just forgotten about it. I checked the expiration date, December 2027. Still valid. A slow smile spread across my face. I took photos of the front and back of the card with my phone, making sure I could read every number clearly. Then I carefully placed it back exactly where I'd found it. The next part required something I'd been keeping in my filing cabinet for years. My sister's tax returns. She'd been too lazy to file them herself, so for the past 2 years I'd done them for her. I had all her information. Social security number, date of birth, previous addresses, mother's maiden name, every piece of information a bank would ask to verify identity. I pulled out my phone and called the number on the back of the Visa card. Thank you for calling Visa customer service. How may I help you? I took a deep breath and spoke in my sister's voice. People always said we sounded similar on the phone. Hi, I'd like to activate a card I received a while ago, but never used. Of course! Can I have the card number, please? I read it off from the photo. The representative asked me security questions. Social security number, date of birth, address, mother's maiden name. I answered every single one correctly. The representative didn't hesitate or question anything. Why would she? I had all the right information. Great, Ms. Torres. Your card is now activated. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Actually, yes. I'd like to update my mailing address for statements. Of course. What's the new address? I gave her the address of a P.O. box I'd opened that morning on my way to meet Blake. Perfect. And Ms. Torres, I see here that you're eligible for a credit limit increase. You currently have a $15,000 limit, but based on your credit score, we can increase that to $50,000. Would you like me to process that? My heart raced. $50,000 would be wonderful, thank you. Done. Your new limit is $50,000. Is there anything else? No, that's all. Thank you so much. I hung up and stared at the phone in my hand. I now had access to a credit card in my sister's name with a $50,000 limit. A card she didn't even know was active. Was this wrong? Maybe. Was it illegal? Technically, yes. Using someone else's credit card without permission is fraud. But then again, so is stealing your sister's credit card and spending $45,000 without asking. Call it karma. Call it justice. Call it whatever you want. I called it even. Jeez. Monday evening, my sister finally came home. I heard the Uber pull up outside, heard her dragging her suitcase up the driveway. My mother rushed to the door. Baby, you're home! They embraced like my sister had been gone for months instead of a week. My father joined them, and they all stood in the doorway. A perfect family tableau. I stayed in my room, listening. How was it? My mother asked. Tell us everything. Oh my God, it was amazing, my sister gushed. The resort was incredible. The beaches were perfect, the food was so good. Did you bring us souvenirs? Of course. I got macadamia nut chocolates and these cute Hawaiian shirts and… There was a knock on my door. I opened it to find my sister standing there holding a shopping bag. "Hey, sis," she said, her smile tentative. "I got you something." She pulled out a Hawaiian shirt with bright flowers all over it. I looked at the tag still attached, $24.99. My sister had spent $45,000 in a week, and she'd bought me a $25 shirt. But I smiled. "Thanks, Malis, it's really pretty." Her whole body relaxed. "I'm glad you like it. I was worried you'd still be mad." "No," I said softly. "I'm not mad anymore." And I wasn't. I was past anger. I was in a place of cold, crystal-clear determination. "Good." She hugged me. "I missed you." "I missed you too," I lied. Then, Tuesday evening, I did something I almost never did. I cooked dinner for the family. Homemade pasta with marinara sauce, garlic bread, salad. My mother looked shocked when she came into the kitchen. "You're cooking?" I had time today. Thought it would be nice. We all sat down to eat together, something we hadn't done in weeks. The atmosphere was almost pleasant. Halfway through the meal, I cleared my throat. "So, I have some news." Everyone looked at me. "You know that big project I've been working on? We finished it and my boss was really impressed. She gave me a bonus." My father's eyes lit up. "A bonus? That's wonderful." "How much?" my mother asked. "Enough," I said, smiling. "And I've been thinking, Malis just had such a wonderful time in Hawaii. And you two work so hard, you deserve a vacation too." I pulled out an envelope from my bag and slid it across the table. My mother opened it. Inside were 3 plane tickets and a resort confirmation. "Hawaii?" she gasped. "You're sending us to Hawaii?" 4 days, 3 nights. Same resort Malis stayed at. All inclusive. My father's hands were shaking as he looked at the tickets. "Varela, this is too generous. This must have cost…" "You're worth it," I said. "You raised me, sacrificed for me. You deserve to relax and enjoy yourselves." My sister was practically bouncing in her seat. "Oh my God, I get to go back to Hawaii?" "All 3 of you," I confirmed. "I'd go too, but I have another big project starting. I can't take time off, but I want you all to go and have fun." My mother had tears in her eyes. "You're such a good daughter." My father stood up and hugged me. The best daughter a father could ask for. That night, they spent hours planning what they'd do in Hawaii, what they'd eat, what activities they'd try. They were like children on Christmas Eve. I smiled and nodded along, and inside I counted down. 4 days until they left. 4 days until I changed everything. Wednesday, I told my family I had to go to Tampa for a work emergency. An all-day client meeting that I couldn't miss. "Leave at 6 a.m. Won't be back until late," I said. They barely looked up from their Hawaii planning to acknowledge me. Instead of going to Tampa, I went to my office for 2 hours to actually get some work done. Then, at 8 a.m., I drove back to the house and met the moving company. All-Star Movers arrived in a large truck right on schedule. I'd paid extra for their express and discreet service. "We're only taking items from 2 bedrooms," I explained to the crew chief. "The master bedroom and the bedroom at the end of the hall. Do not touch anything in the living room, kitchen, or my room." Understood. For the next 4 hours, I supervised as they carefully packed everything. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, personal items, photo albums, everything. My parents' room yielded 12 boxes. My sister's room, despite her having lived there only 18 months, yielded another 8. The only things I left were a single change of clothes for each of them, packed into the suitcases they were taking to Hawaii. "Where's this going?" the crew chief asked. "Rosa's Italian Kitchen, Miami." I gave him the address. My grandmother owns it. Everything goes to the storage room in the back. Delivery by Friday? Perfect. They loaded up the truck and drove away at 12:30. I did a final walkthrough of the house. You couldn't tell anything was missing unless you opened the bedroom closets, which my parents never did, since they were always wearing the same few outfits anyway. I drove to my new apartment, the view at Lake Eola, a one-bedroom I'd secured with a deposit 2 days ago. I'd move my own things this weekend, after everything was done. That evening, I came home at 8 p.m., looking appropriately tired from my all-day meeting in Tampa. "How was Tampa?" my mother asked absently, not looking up from her phone where she was browsing Hawaii restaurant reviews. "Exhausting," I said. "I'm going to bed early." Nobody noticed I'd been gone all day. Nobody noticed anything was different. 3 more days. Thursday morning, I drove them to the Orlando airport at 5:30 a.m. My mother was half asleep. "You really don't want to come with us?" "I wish I could, but work needs me here. You 3 enjoy yourselves." At the check-in counter, I handed my father an envelope. "Here's a credit card for any extra expenses, taxis, room service, souvenirs, whatever you need." My sister looked at the card. "Is this a new one?" "Special vacation card," I said with a smile. "Don't worry about the limit. Just have fun." What I didn't say, it was the credit card in my sister's name that I'd activated. The one with the $50,000 limit that she didn't know existed. We hugged goodbye at security. My mother was crying happy tears. My father told me again what a wonderful daughter I was. My sister was already planning what she'd buy at the resort gift shop. I watched them go through security, watched them disappear toward their gate. Then I went home and got to work. Thursday and Friday, I barely slept. I was at Blake's office both mornings, signing paperwork. The buyer's team moved with impressive speed. Inspection waived, appraisal waived. Cash payment ready to go. "You're sure about this?" Blake asked me one more time on Friday afternoon as we reviewed the final closing documents. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Friday evening, I moved my personal belongings out of the house. Just 4 boxes: clothes, laptop, important documents, a few books. Everything else, furniture, kitchen items, all of it, belonged to my parents anyway. Let the new owner deal with it or throw it away. I didn't care. Saturday morning at 10 a.m., I sat in Blake's office conference room with the buyer, a pleasant man in his 50s named Robert Chen, who barely said 2 words, and signed the final paperwork. The house sold for $455,000. After closing costs and Blake's commission, I netted $447,000. Blake handed me a check. I stared at it for a long moment. $447,000. I'd put in $155,100 over the past few years. I was walking away with almost 3 times that. "Congratulations," Blake said. "What are you going to do with it?" "Start over," I said simply. That afternoon, I paid a cleaning service $300 to make the house spotless. At 4 p.m., I met Robert at the house and handed him the keys. "It's all yours," I said. He shook my hand. "Thank you for the smooth transaction." I drove away and didn't look back. Sunday, I spent the day moving my 4 boxes into my new apartment. It was small, just 650 square feet, but it was mine. The rent was $1,800 a month, which I could now actually afford because I wasn't supporting 3 other people. I hung up my clothes in my own closet. I set up my laptop on my own desk. I made my own bed. For the first time in 18 months, I lived alone. It felt like I could finally breathe. Sunday evening, I drove to the Orlando airport to pick up my family. Their flight landed at 7 p.m. I got there 15 minutes early and waited at arrivals, wearing my best dress and a bright smile. They came through the doors at 7:30, tanned and relaxed, and happy. My sister saw me first and ran over. Sis, the trip was even better the second time. My mother was beaming. Thank you so much, sweetie. We had the most wonderful time. My father hugged me. The resort was spectacular. The food, the beaches, everything. I'm so glad, I said. Let's get your luggage and head home. We collected their bags and walked to my car. They chattered the whole way about helicopter tours and sunset cruises and the amazing breakfast buffet. I drove in silence, smiling and nodding. As we turned onto their street, my sister looked out the window. Hey, what's that sign in our yard? My mother squinted. Is that a sold sign? I pulled into the driveway and put the car in park. Yeah, I said calmly. About that. 3 seconds of absolute silence, then chaos. What? My mother's voice was shrill enough to shatter glass. What do you mean sold? My father's face had gone completely white. Varela, what is this? Some kind of joke? My sister was staring at the sign like it might disappear if she looked hard enough. This can't be real. You're pranking us, right? I turned in my seat to face them, my expression calm. It's not a joke. I sold the house. The closing was yesterday morning. My mother started hyperventilating. You can't just sell a house. It's not yours to sell. Actually, it is. The house has been in my name for the past 2.5 years. Remember when Dad couldn't pay the property taxes and I bailed him out? He signed a quitclaim deed transferring ownership to me. It was the condition of me paying that $62,000. My father's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I could see the memory flooding back. The desperate phone call. The legal paperwork he'd barely read. The signature he'd scrawled because he had no other choice. But you can't just sell it without telling us, he stammered. Why not? It's my house. I can do whatever I want with it. My sister's voice was rising toward panic. Where's all my stuff? My clothes, my shoes, my makeup? Don't worry, I said. Everything's been shipped to your new place. New place? All 3 of them shouted simultaneously. Miami, Nana Rosa's restaurant. Your belongings arrived Friday. She's set up rooms for all of you. My mother's face turned red. Miami? I am not going to Miami. I am not working in that restaurant. Then don't, I said with a shrug. Find somewhere else to live. I don't care. How can you do this? She was crying now, ugly, angry tears. We're your family. Family, I repeated softly. Right. Let me tell you about family. I pulled out my phone and opened the spreadsheet I'd created. 2.5 years ago, I paid $67,000 to save this house from foreclosure. For the past 18 months, I've given you $4,200 every month. That's $75,600. I paid $8,000 for roof repairs. Another $4,500 for various emergencies, Dad's car, Mom's medications, a new phone for Melis when she accidentally destroyed hers. I looked each of them in the eye. That's a total of $155,100. To afford that, I gave up vacations, new clothes, dating, saving for my own future. I gave you everything. And last week, I continued, my voice getting harder, Melis spent $45,000 of my money in 7 days. $45,000 on designer bags and fancy restaurants and spa treatments. Money I worked for, money I needed. My sister was crying now too. I said I was sorry. No, you didn't. You said, and I quote, "Why are you so mad? You'll make it back." You called me a miser and said I was useless. I turned to my parents. And you too? You defended her. You said I was being cruel for not letting my sister enjoy her vacation. Even after I showed you the voicemail where she called me names, your first concern was whether your money was safe. The car was silent except for my mother's sobbing. So here's what's going to happen, I said. You have 2 choices. 1, go to Miami, live with Nana Rosa, work at her restaurant, and figure out how to support yourselves. Or 2, find your own place to stay because you don't have a home here anymore. My father found his voice. Viraya, please. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. The house is sold. The new owner takes possession tomorrow. Everything you own is in Miami. Those are your options. My sister was pulling out her phone with shaking hands. I need to call. I need to find a hotel. I can't go to Miami. With what money? I asked. Your credit cards are maxed out, remember? She froze. But the card you gave us for the trip. Check whose name is on it. She fumbled in her purse and pulled out the credit card I'd given my father for the Hawaii trip. Her eyes widened as she read the name embossed on the front. This is my card? The visa you got when you worked at that marketing agency 3 years ago. You never activated it, so I did it for you. You spent $12,800 on this trip. Added to the $45,000 from last week, you now owe $57,800. In your own name. Good luck paying that off. My sister's face crumpled. She looked like she might be sick. My mother turned on me with fury. How dare you? You've ruined us. You've destroyed this family. No, I said quietly. You did that yourselves. I'm just done being the one who picks up the pieces. I started the car. Now I'm going to drive you to Miami. It's a 4-hour drive. You can spend that time being angry, or you can spend it figuring out how you're going to make this work. Either way, we're going. None of them said a word as I pulled out of the driveway for the last time. We arrived at Rosa's Italian kitchen just after midnight. The restaurant was closed, but the lights in the upstairs apartment were on. My grandmother met us at the door. She hugged me first, holding tight. You okay, sweetheart? I am now. Then she turned to my parents and sister, her expression stern. Come on, your rooms are ready. The apartment above the restaurant had been converted into living quarters years ago. 3 small bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a tiny shared living area. My grandmother showed them to their rooms without ceremony. Your belongings are in storage downstairs. You can unpack tomorrow. Right now, get some sleep. Kitchen starts at 6 a.m. My mother looked horrified. 6 in the morning? 6 a.m., my grandmother confirmed. If you're late, you don't work. If you don't work, you don't eat. Simple rules. I hugged my grandmother goodbye and headed back to my car. As I walked out, I heard my sister crying in her room, my mother arguing with my father in hushed, angry whispers. I drove back to Orlando, to my new apartment, and slept better than I had in years. The next few weeks, I heard updates from my grandmother. The first morning, Sofia Martinez, the head chef who'd worked at the restaurant for 25 years, woke them at 5:30 by banging on their doors. Up! Kitchen doesn't wait! My mother tried to argue. Sofia shut her down immediately. You want to eat? You work. You don't want to work? Leave. But leave on empty stomach. My father, who'd spent his whole adult life as a business owner, was put on dish duty. 60 years old, washing dishes and mopping floors for $12 an hour. My mother, who'd barely cooked a meal in her life, was given a 50-pound bag of potatoes and told to peel and dice them all by 11 a.m. for the lunch rush. And my sister, who'd never worked a physically demanding job in her life, was put on dough-making duty. 40 pounds of pizza dough, kneaded by hand, every single day. The first day, they all cried, my grandmother told me on the phone. Sofia didn't care. She just kept saying, faster, lunch rush coming. Did they quit? Your mother threatened to, but then she realized she has nowhere else to go and no money to get there, so she stayed. The pay structure was simple. $12 an hour for 60 hours a week came out to $720 weekly, or $2,880 monthly. But that was before room and board. My grandmother charged each of them $300 a week for their rooms and $150 for food, which came out to $1,400 a month in deductions. That left them each with $1,480 a month, barely enough to survive, let alone save anything. But my sister had it worse. She owed $57,800. To pay that off while also surviving, she had to work overtime, 70 hours a week instead of 60, including 10 hours at the overtime rate of $18 per hour. Even then, after room and board, she only cleared about $1,800 a month. She sent me $1,600 of that every month toward her debt, keeping just $200 for herself. $200 a month for everything. Toiletries, clothing, entertainment, emergencies. Less than $50 a week. For a girl who used to spend $50 on a single cocktail without thinking twice, it was a brutal education. The first month, I didn't hear from any of them directly. My grandmother sent me updates, but my family maintained radio silence. The second month, my sister started texting me. Short messages at first. I'm sorry. I know you won't forgive me. I understand why you did this. I didn't respond. The third month, the messages got longer. I'm working 70 hours a week. My hands are covered in calluses. I've never been this tired in my life, and I'm starting to understand what you went through for us. I'm so sorry. I still didn't respond. The fourth month, I sent you $1,600 this month. I know it's not much compared to what I owe, but it's all I can afford. I'm trying, Viraya. I'm really trying. The fifth month, something in the messages changed. Sophia taught me how to make fresh pasta today. She said I did a good job. It was the first time anyone said that to me in, I don't know how long. It felt good to earn something instead of just asking for it. I stared at that message for a long time before I finally typed back, I'm proud of you. 3 dots appeared immediately, then, can I call you? Not yet, I typed, but soon. 6 months after I'd left them in Miami, my sister called me. This time I answered. Hi, she said, her voice small and uncertain. Hi. I wanted to ask if we could meet, in person. I want to apologize properly. I know a phone call isn't enough. I thought about saying no. Part of me wanted to keep that distance, keep that wall up. But another part, a part that remembered the sister I'd grown up with before everything got so twisted, wanted to give her one chance. Okay, I said. Next Sunday, 3 p.m., Café Versailles in Little Havana. I'll be there. Thank you, Viraya. Thank you so much. Sunday afternoon, I arrived at Café Versailles 15 minutes early. The place was bustling with the after-church crowd, families sharing Cuban coffee and pastelitos. I ordered a cortadito and sat down at a small table near the window. At exactly 3 p.m., I saw her walking up the street. I almost didn't recognize her. The girl who walked through that door wasn't the Melis I remembered. That Melis had been soft, pampered, always perfectly made up and dressed in the latest trends. This Melis was lean, almost thin. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup. She wore a plain white t-shirt and faded jeans that had clearly been washed 100 times. Her hands, when she sat down across from me, were rough and calloused. But it was her eyes that were different. The entitled, careless look was gone. In its place was something I'd never seen before. Humility. Hi, she said softly. Hi. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she took a deep breath and the words came tumbling out. I'm so sorry. I know those words don't mean much after what I did, but I need to say them anyway. I was selfish and cruel, and I took you completely for granted. I thought your money was just there. Easy. I didn't think about how hard you worked for it, or what you sacrificed to give it to us. I just took and never gave anything back. Tears were streaming down her face now. These past 6 months have been the hardest of my life. My hands hurt all the time. My back aches. I'm exhausted every single day. And you know what I've learned? I've learned that making $1,400 in a month is hard. Making even $100 is hard. She pulled an envelope from her bag and slid it across the table. This is $9,600. It's everything I've saved over the past 6 months. I know it's not even close to what I owe you, but I wanted you to see that I'm trying. I'm really, truly trying to make this right. I looked at the envelope but didn't touch it. It's not about the money, Melis. I know. It's about respect, it's about appreciation. It's about understanding that love isn't just taking, it's giving too. And I never gave you anything except problems. Do you know why it hurt so much? I asked quietly. It wasn't just the $45,000. It was that you spent more in 1 week than I had left for myself in an entire year. Do you understand how that felt? I do now, she whispered. God, Viraya, I understand now. We sat in silence for a moment. I watched her wipe her eyes with a paper napkin, watched her try to compose herself. You know what the worst part was? I finally said. I did it all because I loved you. Because you're my sister and I wanted you to be okay. And you threw it in my face like it meant nothing. I know, and I hate myself for it. You should, I said. But my voice wasn't angry anymore, just sad. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. I don't expect us to go back to how we were. I wanted you to know that I'm not that person anymore. Or at least, I'm trying really hard not to be. I took a sip of my coffee, thinking, Nana Rosa tells me you're doing well at the restaurant. She looked surprised. You've been asking about me? Of course I have. You're still my sister. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Sophia says I'm getting good at making pasta. She even let me help with the tiramisu last week. She said it was almost perfect. That's great. And I have a boyfriend, Luis. He's the sous chef. He's teaching me about food costs and inventory management and how to actually run a kitchen properly. We're saving up to maybe open a small coffee shop someday. Nothing fancy. Just something that's ours. I found myself smiling. That sounds wonderful. It won't be for years, obviously. I have so much debt to pay off first. But having a goal, having something to work toward that I'm actually earning myself, it feels good. Really good. We talked for 2 more hours. She told me about her life in Miami, about the regulars at the restaurant who'd become like family, about how Nana Rosa was tough but fair, about how working hard for something made it mean more. I told her about my life too, about my promotion to lead UX designer, about Jordan, the colleague I'd been dating for 3 months now, about my little apartment that was finally starting to feel like home. As the sun started to set outside, I finally picked up the envelope she'd given me. Keep half of this, I said, sliding $4,800 back across the table. Use it for your coffee shop fund. Viraya, no, I can't. Yes, you can. You earned it. And I don't need you to pay back every penny. I need you to prove you've learned the lesson, and you have. She stared at the money, then at me. Thank you. For everything. For believing I could change. Thank you for actually changing. As we stood to leave, she hugged me. Not the casual, obligatory hugs we'd shared before, but a real hug. Tight and meaningful. I love you, sis, she whispered. I love you too, I said. And I meant it. Dong. Before we parted ways, I pulled out my phone. Oh, Mom and Dad wanted me to give you something. I played a recording they'd sent me the week before. My father's voice came through, thick with emotion. Viraya, sweetheart, it's Dad. I need to say some things. I was a terrible father to you. I favored your sister, took you for granted, and treated your generosity like it was something I deserved instead of something I should have been grateful for every single day. You saved our house. You supported us for years, and I never once thanked you properly. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm working hard now, trying to earn back even a fraction of what you gave us. I know I can never repay you fully, but I'm going to try. My mother's voice followed. Baby, it's Mom. I've been doing a lot of thinking while I'm here. I spoiled Malis. I took money you gave us for food and gave it to her as spending money. I enabled her worst behaviors and punished you for being responsible. That wasn't fair. That wasn't right. You deserved better from me. From both of us. I'm learning to work now. Really work. And I'm learning what it costs to earn money. I understand now what we put you through. Please forgive us. We're trying to be better. The recording continued. We're sending you money this month. It's not much. $1,780, but it's what we can afford after keeping $100 each for ourselves. We'll send the same next month and the month after that until we've paid you back. Not because we have to, but because we want to. Because you deserve it. When the recording ended, my sister was crying again. They've really changed too. Yeah, I said. They have. Taman. 18 months later, I stood in my apartment looking at my bank account. The number staring back at me seemed almost unreal. $462,000. The house sale had given me $447,000. After buying furniture for my apartment and covering moving costs, I'd invested $350,000 in a diversified portfolio. The rest went into a high-yield savings account. My salary had increased to $125,000 a year after my promotion. Without having to support my family, I was able to save about $3,000 every month. For the first time in my life, I had financial security. Real security. The kind where an unexpected car repair or medical bill wouldn't devastate me. But more than that, I had peace. My phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. Still on for dinner tonight? My place or yours? I smiled. Yours. I'll bring wine. Perfect. Love you. Love you too. We'd been dating for over a year now, and last week he'd hinted at moving in together. I was actually considering it. The old Viraya would have been terrified of combining finances with someone, of being vulnerable again. But Jordan had shown me over and over that partnership didn't mean exploitation. It meant two people supporting each other equally. Another text came through, this one from my sister. Guess what? Luis and I signed the lease for the coffee shop. Opening in 3 months. You'll come to the grand opening, right? Wouldn't miss it, I typed back. So proud of you. She'd paid off $25,000 of her debt over the past 2 years. She still owed $32,000, but she was making steady progress. More importantly, she'd learned to live within her means, to save, to work for what she wanted instead of just taking it. The third text was from my father. Sent this month's payment. Also, Mom and I wanted to tell you, we're coming up for your birthday next month, if that's okay with you. We'd love to see you. No expectations. Just family. I hesitated, then typed, I'd like that. See you then. My parents had sent me $32,000 over the past 18 months, paying back what they could afford. They still owed $30,000, but like my sister, they were trying. Really trying. They'd been promoted at the restaurant, my father to floor manager, my mother to prep chef, and they took pride in their work now. Our relationship would never be what it was before. Too much had happened. Too much trust had been broken. But it was becoming something new, something healthier. Built on mutual respect instead of obligation. Last month, my grandmother had called with an update that made me smile. Your mother actually thanked me yesterday. Do you know what she said? She said, "Thank you for teaching me what hard work feels like.
I should have learned this 30 years ago.
That must have shocked you," I'd said. Shocked me? Sweetheart, I almost fell over. But she meant it, I could tell. As I got ready for dinner with Jordan, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. I looked different than I had 2 years ago. Lighter, somehow. The permanent tension in my shoulders was gone. The exhaustion that had lived behind my eyes had faded. I was 33 years old, and I was finally living my own life. Was it perfect? No. Did I still have moments of anger when I thought about those 18 months of sacrifice? Absolutely. Did I sometimes wonder if I'd been too harsh, too cruel in how I'd forced my family to change? Sometimes. But then I remembered that girl who used to lie awake at night wondering how she'd make ends meet, who gave everything and got nothing but resentment in return, who was slowly drowning under the weight of everyone else's expectations. That girl deserved better, and now, finally, she had it. 3 weeks later, I went to Miami for my sister's coffee shop grand opening. The place was small but charming. Just 15 tables, a marble counter, shelves lined with local artisan products. She'd named it Second Chances Cafe. When I walked in, she ran over and hugged me. "You came!" "Of course I came." Luis was behind the counter, grinning. "First coffee is on the house. What can I make you?" "Surprise me." While he made my drink, I looked around. The place was packed with locals, restaurant workers from the neighborhood, and friends my sister had made over the past 2 years. Everyone seemed genuinely happy to be there. My parents arrived a few minutes later. It was still awkward between us, but less so than before. My father shook my hand. My mother gave me a tentative hug. "The place looks wonderful," my father said to Melis. "We're so proud of you." "I learned from the best," she said, looking at Nana Rosa, who was sitting at a corner table, surveying the room with satisfaction. As the afternoon went on, I found myself relaxing. Watching my sister work, taking orders, making drinks, chatting with customers, I could see how much she'd changed. This wasn't someone faking it or putting on a show. This was someone who'd genuinely grown. Before I left, she pulled me aside. "Thank you. For everything. For being tough enough to do what needed to be done, even when it was hard." "You did the hard part," I said. "You're the one who changed." "Because you gave me no choice," she said with a small smile. "Best thing you ever did for me." As I drove back to Orlando that evening, Jordan called. "How was it?" "Good," I said. "Really good." "Your family doing okay?" "Yeah, they are." "And how are you?" I thought about it. "Happy. I'm happy." "Good. Come home safe. I'll have dinner waiting." Home. I had a home now. Not just an apartment, but a real home. A place where I was valued, where I could rest, where I wasn't just an ATM or a safety net or a parent to my own parents. I had a home, a career, a partner who respected me, a family that was slowly learning to appreciate me, and most importantly, I had myself back. The girl who gave everything and got nothing in return was gone. In her place was a woman who knew her worth, who set boundaries, who understood that sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their choices. It had cost me $45,000 and 2 years of pain to learn that lesson. But looking back now, driving down I-95 as the sun set over Florida, I knew it had been worth every penny. Thank you so much for staying with me through this entire story. If it resonated with you, if you've ever felt taken for granted by the people you love, if you've ever had to make the hard choice between being kind and being respected, I see you. You're not alone. And if you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. There are so many more stories to tell. and I'd love to have you along for the journey. Drop a comment and let me know what you thought. I read every single one. Remember, it's not selfish to value yourself. It's not cruel to expect the people you help to show gratitude. And it's never too late to take back control of your own life. Until next time, take care of yourselves. You deserve it.